Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Hello, everybody. It's Angela, and we're back for another Connections Live webinar. Thank you all for joining us. Tonight, we'll be talking about the yellow flags and the blue flags in relationships. If you're not sure what we mean, don't worry, because Dr. Ray and Jean will explain them. If you haven't already heard their podcast, Couple Synergy, Real Couples, Real Stories, one of their very first podcasts is talking about these blue flags. Blue flags, yellow flags, and red flags are all very important because they all act as signals. If you have any questions or comments, we love participation, so please feel free to go ahead and put them in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them live on the air. But for now, take a moment to take a deep breath, get comfortable, make sure your room, your environment is comfortable so that you can listen to Dr. Ray and Jean. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Ange?
I'm doing well. You both look very pretty. It looks like the lighting is maybe a little brighter. It's different from lately.
Well, we're kind of springtime. We're a little bit.
It was beautiful out today, and so we wanted to, I guess, embody the spring today. I don't know.
We went to a networking group earlier, and
yeah. And actually, some of the people we met today, they might actually be tuning in right now.
Wonderful.
So, hello again. Hello again. I was thinking, is this really a webinar? I don't know if it's really a webinar. I think it's kind of
words.
It's like a conversation, really.
No,
it's a discussion. It's a discussion. It's sharing with all of you out there, a lot of things that we have learned along the years, and and kind of getting some of your feedback. So what Angie said, absolutely. If you have any questions or comments or, just want to cheer us on, just kind of put in a little chat box. So we're talking about, yellow flags, blue flags, yellow flags and blue flags today. Mm-hmm. Specifically, the reason why we wanted to talk about this is we realize that some of the topics we talk about on this live discussion or webinar is very different than some of the things we talk about on our podcast, right? And we have not talked about yellow flags or blue flags on these Tuesday night calls. We've only talked about it on our podcast. So I think the other day someone was asking us, hey, when you talked about this topic, where can I find that? And we were like, maybe that's our podcast. Maybe that's the Tuesday night call. So it's really
all good
hard.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's all great stuff. It's just, kind of hard to keep track. So we want to present this topic here because this is a very important one. Hey, Tina, how you doing?
One of the things we like to talk about are specific relationship behaviors.
Yeah.
So that you can see where in your relationship you need to maybe make some improvements and what that would look like, because I don't think we're ever taught relationship behaviors.
No, we're not.
So yellow flags, you got our yellow flag?
Yeah. I got
a yellow flag. Wave the yellow flag. So yellow flags are things that we do in our relationship that you don't really notice them, but they're like a corrosive. And over time, they rust your relationship bond, and they disintegrate the connection. And if couples do them for long enough, they end up in parallel lives and not feeling so good.
Yellow flags typically happen in every relationship at some point. So this is not, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble here. But if you think about red flags, it's pretty self-explanatory that if something of a red flag is happening, there's something really serious happening, right? But yellow flags usually indicate that it's a warning sign, and it's something that you need to start to pay attention to, right? Hey, Myra's here too. Hey, how you doing?
So some of the things that are in the yellow flag category are not spending enough time together.
So we call this face-to-face time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a lot of people know the term quality time, and we used to use the term quality time, but every time that we would use it, people would misconstrue what that meant, right? Quality time is, like, oh, well, I
Not like this,
Yeah.
watching a screen, but
watched-
face-to-face time.
we watch TV together. We watch a Tuesday night webinar together.
I like the couples that are watching us and then turning this off and talking about the topic that we talked about.
That definitely
That's some good
is
face-to-face
face-to-face time,
Mhm.
right? So face-to-face means that there's only two faces.
I think the hardest part about yellow flags are they happen when your relationship or your life is very busy. Like you've had a baby, or one of you is going to school, or investing more in a job or something like that. Like life has gotten really busy. So it doesn't feel like you should talk about it or discuss how it feels. And so the person feeling it first that feels that, that slight disconnect or being on the back burner and something else has taken its place, understands why, which is okay. But then we don't really talk about it and how long does that go on? And I think, we've talked about that period in our life when you were getting your doctorate.
Yeah.
It was a long period of time where, our face-to-face time was significantly down. My running the business and taking care of the kids was significantly up because I was pulling the weight of you for those things. And you were investing in your future,
And
which
that-
is our future.
That was a very difficult time
Mhm.
for us. And if you've listened to our podcast, you may have heard me say that if I were to go back in time, I would not have done that. I would not have gone on and got my doctorate. The reason why I got it was not specifically for me at that time. So, I would rewind the clock and redo it. But it put such a huge strain on our relationship because up until that point in time, we spent a lot of time together. I mean, we naturally would have a lot of face-to-face time.
Right.
We would spend, the nights just kind of sitting around a fire.
Kind of because we like each other. Mm.
Yeah. So, we'd spend time around a fire, and talking and listening to music. And we didn't really watch much TV at all at that time.
Mm-mm.
And then when my doctorate came around, it took a lot of my resources, which is my time and energy. And that was probably the first time in our relationship that, we went to bed at different times. Like I had to stay up and study and all that stuff too.
Right.
So our face-to-face time suffered greatly at that time. And as I said, put the most amount of strain on our relationship.
And I would say most couples go through this when their children are born. And fortunately, we had a great support system.
Yeah.
A lot of people helping us out with our young ones so that we were able to still spend a lot of time together. But it was really the doctorate that was like the more day in, day out kind of thing, or change a job or whatever it is. And, it really is a shift of focus to make sure your relationship has a space. And even if you can't spend a lot of time together, if it has like these anchor points where like, all right, let's make it through the work. Maybe Sunday morning's our time and we're going to have breakfast. We're going to take our time with our coffee and just hang out, whatever that time is to infuse into your relationship. Get a lot of mileage out of that when your life is very busy.
Yeah. The stats kind of point to couples spending a minimum of 5 to 6 hours a week, of that face-to-face time. And, it's not necessarily a number that if you don't hit it, you're like, oh no, we failed. No, it's you just got to tuck that in the back of your head and really shoot for it and really see that as the bar. And, it's not something that you have to achieve in 1 day or 2 days. It's something that if you spread over a course of a week, you are making that a priority and you are paying close attention to your relationship and investing in your relationship in a consistent way. And for couples that have, little kids, that can be a huge challenge. I mean, we went through that, right? You put your kids down and go to bed, and then you have, a period of time, after they go to bed, and most of the time couples are really exhausted, right? At that point, so they just kind of turn on the TV and just zone out and fall asleep. And it may seem like, quite a bit of effort to turn off the TV and really just spend that 10 minutes, 15 minutes connecting, at the end of the night.
If you're really tired, a cool thing you can do is listen to each other's heartbeat. And that really grounds you as a human being and, as a couple. A lot of times, especially when you have little kids, it seems like that affection's going to the kids and you kind of are tired of being touched maybe by the end of the day. But it's very different with your partner than your children. And, yellow flags are for sure going to happen. And every week ebbs and flows, but it's the long term. When we first meet a couple, we're going to ask some really specific questions to see if their relationship is in the yellow flag category, the blue flag category, or the red flag category. And the yellow flag category can go on for years and years and years, and you don't notice it because it just becomes your life. And those are things that doesn't feel like you should complain about. But, when we ask a couple, when's the last time you went on vacation alone, just the two of you, and we hear 14 years or 17 years or our honeymoon, we know that is a pretty big sign that some major yellow flags are happening, that there has been no space and time. And that space and time, people talk about intimacy breakdown, especially the women out there, you need some of that downtime to get away from the stress of life, to get your nervous system to settle down so that you feel receptive to being with your partner. And that's why typically when people go on vacation, they kind of act like they did when they were dating, if they didn't bring their kids with.
And this is where a lot of that
right after the fight, first the late night fight, and then
another topic that we did.
Then you can enjoy your vacation.
Yeah, this is where a lot of the disconnect can happen, because for men, they feel connected if they're having sex in their relationship, and then everything is good, right? But if there isn't the quality time going into the relationship, and there isn't that investment, and you're not having that face-to-face time, well, then your partner is not going to want to be receptive to connect. So now starts this stalemate and the disconnect. And this typically happens with couples after they start to have kids, or they start having more demands, in their job and their career. And so, as we said, the yellow flags are definitely things that happen in every couple, in every relationship, no matter what that stressor is.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why for guys, it seems like when they're stressed out, they want more sex. And for women, when they're stressed out, they don't. Like it feels like another job.
Yeah, the difference.
One's a stress relief, one's a
the difference in our brain.
Yeah. So that's important to pay attention to. So, if you do find your partner is a little bit worn out, you might want to join them in supporting them in whatever tasks they have to get done, so they also have time to decompress and feel more like having some intimacy.
Another yellow flag is going to bed at different times.
Yeah.
Right. So as we mentioned, yellow flags are they're warning signs. They're like, lights on a dashboard. They're letting you know that something is amiss, something needs to be paid attention to, and something needs to be adjusted. So if you are going to bed at different times in your partner, that is not going to be good over a long period of time.
No, you're missing the most important part of the day, which is that bonding time and that cuddle time and the decompression time. And especially if one of you is staying up and watching a lot of TV or being on your computer or something, your attention's somewhere else. It certainly isn't on your relationship. And the other person, I'm guessing, feels pretty lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. But what if I'm a night owl and I need to de-stress, and my wife likes to go to bed earlier than I do because she's the one that gets up with the kids. I'm the one that puts them to sleep.
So tuck her in.
Yeah.
Just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, tuck her in, let her feel that connection, that bonding, or the opposite if it's the guy that goes to sleep first. And then you can go do your own thing, but make sure you have that touch point where you are infusing some energy into your relationship at the beginning and end of each day, because you'll be surprised what that does to your nervous system and your connection throughout the day, even if you don't stay in bed and fall asleep.
So we have heard every excuse in the book. All right. We work on different shifts. She works in the night shift and I work in the day shift. And so we never are able to go to bed together. Well, what Jean is talking about here is ending the day together, right? We were big proponents of starting the day off together and ending the day off together. And that is connecting in a non-sexual, affectionate way. And it's these anchor points that really begin and end the day and really set things in motion in the right way, versus running out the door and connecting with your partner later on in the day by text. That's where the day is kind of running ahead of you and you're not able to catch up with that. So when you start the day and end the day together with that affection, then you are able to create those anchor points, and that counts as that face-to-face time. Okay. And that affection. So if you go to bed later, that's fine. You just need to tuck your partner in. Are you talking there, Ange? Can't hear you there.
Yes. Okay. Now you can hear me, because I guess you got to see me to hear me. So, Dr. Ray and Jean, would you like to take the next question we got?
Sure.
I'll post it now.
Okay. I'm watching this with a speaker after my significant other and I have had a fight instead of using headphones.
Turn it
Did
up.
I just commit a yellow flag sin? Well, it does sound a little passive aggressive, but
really what you're doing is you're making a bid attempt. You're trying to say, hey, I'm over here trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I know you're over there hurting. And, I am not shutting the door. I'm trying to include you on this. And it does kind of feel a little passive aggressive when you're in the fight and you're trying to reach out to the other person. And even if you're so mad and I know for us, it's usually a cup of coffee, like here.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't even use my favorite mug because I have some particulars about my coffee mug. And so you might give me a coffee mug with a dark inside, which I don't like that at all.
If any of you know, she is a stickler as far as what coffee mug she drinks out of. So yeah, if I'm a little angry, I'll give her the wrong coffee mug. But here's your coffee.
But what you're still doing is trying to reach out and trying to say, hey, I'm here. My door is still open and I'm ready for you when you get here. And hopefully she's laughing by now and you've turned it up even louder so she can hear us. And what goes a long way at this time is not words. What goes a long way at this time is affection, sometimes some space. But here's a secret, especially to the guys out there. Hold her tight. She might not act like she wants that type of affection right now, but she really does. That's what she really wants, is to know you're there, that you haven't left, that you guys are going to get through this. And whatever the fight is, you shouldn't try to resolve it right now anyways.
No.
Try to add a little humor if you can, but affection is really the best thing you can do at this point.
Appropriate humor.
Yes. And appropriate affection.
Yes. Right.
Don't do any of the
inappropriate affection.
Right. So third yellow flag is lacking a common vision. All right. So a lot of couples, they get into the habit of just surviving day after day. So, all right, go to bed, rinse, repeat, right? And do the same thing over again. And they don't have that future vision. They don't have what it is that they're working towards in their life. And this is a huge problem, especially couples who have been together for a very long time. And we come across couples who, their kids go off to college and their focus for so many years has been on helping their kids, become successful. And now they go away to college and then they're like, now what? They're like, who are you? Right? Because they have not been nurturing their relationship for a very long time. And now they don't have that future vision. They don't have this forward momentum, this point on the horizon that they're heading towards.
And so if you're in the fight, that's a great thing to say is, hey, I want things to be different.
I want things to be different.
Let's figure this out. And, we've been trying to get back in shape to do some good hikes. And we were hiking yesterday. And it's just this loop hike that we do. It's like 3 miles. And you had seen something. We both had headphones on because we like to listen to
podcasts and things like that.
Educate ourselves while we're hiking. And it was these sandhill cranes. And we took maybe 20, 30 feet off the path. And in the center of this loop was these sandhill cranes. And they were doing a mating dance, which was lovely to see. The guy's like, woo, look at me. I'm so impressive. And
how'd that go again?
Woo. And behind them, as we're watching, a coyote walks through. And we have seen evidence of coyote on the path, because they leave a little treasure on the path sometimes. But we've never actually seen one out there. We've never really seen a lot of life. And I was so surprised because if we had stayed on the path, we would have never seen that. We would have never seen this really cool life that was happening just a few feet away from us. And that's how life is. When we slow down a little bit and we shift our perspective a little bit, we can see some real cool stuff going on.
I see what you did there. That's really good. Yes. Right. If we focus on the moment, if we not only focus on the moment, but focus also where we're heading together, right? What we want to create together as partners, that is what really makes life worth it, right? It's not worth it to just go through the same old bump and grind and, just deal with what's in front of you and all these stressors, because what's the point, right? The point of life is to enjoy our journey, together with our partner and our significant other, because our partner is our closest reflection to ourselves.
And one of the things to keep in mind when you are trying to create a common vision is, at least for us, we really get in this competition of like, I want what I want, and he wants what he wants. And one of us is right. Just kidding. But we always try to come from this place of, how can we both get the thing we want?
Right.
What is the opportunity for all of it to happen? And that what he wants and what I want, and hopefully the combination of that meets both of our needs. Because if your partner's giving in to your needs or you're giving into your partner's needs, sooner or later that grows a boatload of resentment.
A lot of resentment.
Yep.
Yes.
And we tend to hold back because we don't want to start an argument. We want our person to be happy and have what they want. But if we're not speaking up or if we're holding resentment, that's very corrosive over time. And that's why that's the yellow flag.
I think the first time that I actually learned that you can have both, right, is in the beginning of our relationship when we were dating. We were going to order a pizza.
I thought it was beer.
I think it was both. It was beer and pizza. And so, I wanted Canadian bacon and pineapple. All right. And don't crucify me. All right. I love it. I love Canadian bacon and pineapple.
I like shrimp on my pizza.
And she likes shrimp and ricotta. Like,
yummy.
Who eats
fabulous,
that?
Delicious.
So, I was like, oh, what are we going to do? Are we going to do half and half? She's just, let's just get 2 pizzas. like, brilliant. That makes tons of sense, right?
And 2 6-packs.
Yeah. Like, I wanted this kind of beer. She wanted that kind of beer.
I think
Why
I was
not?
doing
Right?
Killington's Red Ale or something.
Doesn't
Whatever it was.
matter.
Whatever
It doesn't matter. But the thing is, like, how many times are we sacrificing what we want? And the intention is, I want to do something nice for my partner. And, I want to maybe compromise, right? When really both of you can have both. Both of you can have what each of you want. And when you are looking out for your partner's needs and they're looking out for you, then you're able to create a common vision, which is the two of you together. Not one person's vision and the other person following along, but a common vision.
Because that doesn't feel good either. Like if I got
No.
my way and you were giving in
And I'm eating shrimp and ricotta pizza, like,
and you were loving it because it's most delicious.
no.
The only one that really ever understood my shrimp on my pizza was my dad. That's about it. I don't know if anyone else eats shrimp on their pizza, but you should try it. It's fantastic. Anyways, so what about the blue flags?
So blue flags. All right. So blue flags, we have a lot more blue flags. But kind of an overall umbrella. When it comes to blue flags, you want to think of it from a perspective of code blue. All right.
Flatlining.
The person is on life support. Okay. The relationship is on life support. These are some really serious issues that are going on in a relationship. And these are serious issues that could be happening as a result of not attending to the yellow flags. Okay. So code blue, lack of oxygen, the patient.
Because when we're in a yellow flag phase, at some point, if we get depleted enough, if we build up enough resentment, if we feel enough disconnect, we will go into blue flags just to go into survival mode. And that's when we're really doing some damage to a relationship.
Yeah. So one of the things, the overarching kind of trends when it comes to blue flags is secrets. And starting to really censor your sharing, with your partner, things that you don't want your partner to know. You start keeping information from them, for whatever reason. And I think initially it starts out because you're trying to keep information from your partner because you don't want to hurt them, or you don't want to cause a fight or an argument.
Well, the truth is you're probably not proud of what you're doing.
Right.
And that's why you don't want to share.
Right. So keeping secrets, that's number one. That's the number one blue flag there, regardless of what the secrets are. That is really, it starts you down this slippery slope, and once you start keeping one, you have to keep all. And it just continues on and on, regardless of what the intention is to begin with. It just starts becoming and taking on a life of its own. 2 is not sharing your whereabouts. And so this kind of goes along with that, the secrets. It's like, I'm just going to go to the bar and grab a drink. But I know if I told my wife that, she would not be happy with me about that. Or, I'm just going to go out golfing with the guys.
You could go to the health club. You could.
Yeah, I was going to say golfing with the guys.
Not a problem, but it's the fact that you don't want to share it that's the issue.
Yeah, I had a client who enjoyed running, and he was a marathon runner before he met his wife, and then once they started to have kids, obviously you can't invest that much time and energy into running and also take care of a family. So now his running hobby started to become a really big issue in the relationship. And so he would hide when he would be running. He would, he would say, I just go out for grocery shopping or something and
get a run in. Yeah. What would be a better way to handle that is, if it takes you an hour and a half to run, let your partner have an hour and a half. Let them go take a bath or read a book or whatever they want to do. And it's really difficult. I think in a relationship, there's always 3 things that are going to pull. It's the relationship, the finances, because you got to leave and work, or the kids. And, if you put the kids in daycare, that's a huge strain on your finances. If someone stays home with the kids and doesn't work, that's a huge strain on the finances. And ultimately, those two things end up getting a lot more of the lion's share of attention instead of the relationship because of necessity of life. And so if we're starving in our life in some area, we are going to go and try to steal that time.
Yeah.
But, have a conversation about it. And if your life is out of whack, it's your partner's life's out of whack too, I promise you. And figure out a way to make that get back in sync. And when we're talking about blue flags, we could be talking about potentially an abusive relationship. So red flags are completely abusive, toxic relationships.
This is where people actually have, malicious intent towards their partner, or controlling aspect, or, a need to manipulate. And so blue flags are separate from red, and we're not even going to go into red because I think everybody really realizes that a toxic relationship is a toxic relationship.
Right.
And we're talking about blue flags here, which is something that can occur in every relationship, especially if you're not attending to the yellow flags and the relationship continues to kind of move on in this downward, trajectory.
And there's still hope. You're not flatlined yet. You
Yeah.
can still infuse some life into that if both people have the courage and the willingness to say, hey, I think we're in trouble. And do you want to work on this? And, sometimes if it's gone too far, one might want to work on it, one might not. But I think as an individual person, to find your voice in the middle of this and to speak it, even if you get rejected on the other side of that, it's really good relationship behavior for you to carry on out into the world, into other relationships that you're in. And ultimately, you will find someone who wants to drive to figure those things out. And a lot of times those blue flags are because something painful is probably coming up that we'd really like not to touch. And when we're single people, we really don't have to touch that. And another part of the blue flags is that we start taking the energy that belongs within the relationship and putting it outside of the relationship, talking about our relationship with other people, investing more in other relationships instead of our primary relationship, that kind of stuff that makes you downward spiral quicker as opposed to working on it.
Just as an aside, to give you perspective, we work with couples that are in the yellow flag and blue flag category and help them, transform the relationship and get into that more healthy place. Couples who are in a red flag category, those couples need very specific kind of help. And
usually only one person gets help in that relationship.
Yes. And, those couples that usually we do not work with, and we don't, have them on our weekend intensives, because it's so destructive. So yellow flag, blue flag couples, if you're out there and you're listening to this, there is so much hope. But the first thing that you need to take notice of is awareness, right? Awareness of where you're at, awareness of some of these issues that are staring you in the face and giving you information that, we need to change things, right? One of the blue flags is keeping like passwords from your partner, not allowing them access to emails or social media, finances, like your financial accounts, keeping that separate and keeping it secret, right? And a lot of couples would argue that, well, that's my partner's privacy, and I don't want to interfere in their privacy. And, it's just really the intention behind it. Because if your intention is that I don't want my partner to be able to look at whatever it is that I'm doing, then maybe it's something you shouldn't be doing anyway.
And if you really are feeling that way, I think give your partner a fair shot. If you're going to walk away, but do it with integrity and do it with honesty instead of becoming that person that is a liar and is dishonest and feels like that yucky shame, instead of saying, hey, this isn't okay, what's going on. And if we're not going to fix this, I'm going to take a different path. And that's an honest thing to do. And maybe it is the end of a relationship, which is okay. If the other person isn't willing to work on things with you, you don't have control over that. And that your own integrity and survival depends on you making sure you're taking care of yourself, because you can't feed your relationship if you're not okay and don't take care of yourself.
Another blue flag, living in a sexless marriage. Yeah. So we're kind of getting into these heavier and heavier topics as we're going down, deeper down, right? Yeah. Yellow flags, it was fun. And then now we're down in the blue flags and like CPR on this relationship here, right? But sexless marriage, I mean, unfortunately, it is a trend, a growing trend. A lot of couples, go without, a healthy sexual relationship in their, in their marriage. And it's kind of sad, right? But you could see that if all of these other things are happening and there isn't that connection happening, there isn't that investment occurring, then why would you want to connect physically with your partner?
Yeah, and sexless marriage is, by definition, less than 10 times a year.
Less than 10 times a year, yeah. Yep.
That's the definition of that. It is probably the most common marriage we see, sadly.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
And usually it is because there has been erosion of communication, of respecting each other and building each other up. So you have the energy and what we would call the openness for something like that. There are definite behaviors that shut us down where we don't want to be connected to our partner. And sometimes those ways that our partner reaches out for us shuts us down. It's a kind of a backwards thing. So it gets tricky. And we've seen lots of couples turn that around. And it can't be done in an inauthentic way because, and I'm going to speak to the women right now. Your body has a wisdom. And your body's wisdom may shut down because you have certain needs that are not being met. And, if someone's coming at a very physical place for intimacy without the emotional intimacy, then your body probably is not going to tolerate that for an extended period of time. Extended means like 10 years. We're not even talking about a year or two, a long period of time where at some point you're just like, I just can't anymore. And that's something coming up for healing. That's a really important time to trust your body's wisdom, to trust your truth, to explore your truth. And don't steal that from yourself, that you are also a sexual person and you probably want that connection, but just not in the way that you both have learned about it. And we have so many bad things we've learned about our sexuality in our culture these days. Mm-hmm. So it's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting to be, our spiritual energy and our sexual energy, they come from the same source. And so it is a great expression of who we are as a being on this planet. And it is worth figuring out because it's to shut down that part of us and to kind of drone through the rest of our lives is, that sounds so terrible to me and sad. And so fight for that, even if it causes some discomfort and some problems in your relationship.
And I'm not even going to go into what men need to do on the counterpart because, it is just as important that they learn, what their role is as well. Other blue flags, tracking your partner, I think that kind of just is self-explanatory. Yeah. If you're tracking where your partner's going, then obviously there's a huge lack of trust in the relationship and something very serious is going on here, right? But this last one is an important one. It's getting your emotional needs met by someone outside of your primary relationship, such as a parent, child, or friend. This is a really important one. It has kind of wide-reaching, like roots here, right? Because whether it be your parent, that you're going to your parent, you're talking about your relationship, you're getting your affection, attention from your parent, or you're getting that affection, attention from your child, and you're not focusing on your primary relationship, that is going to deteriorate that relationship over time, right? And now it just deprioritizes that relationship. It makes other relationships much more important and creates a hierarchy, which is very damaging.
Right. And, the most unfair thing is you're probably talking from a skewed perspective about your relationship to someone whose only information about the relationship is what you're telling them. And then if you resolve those issues with your partner, that other person already has judgment and they're already on your side. And if there's one side in a relationship, because every relationship either has two winners or two losers. There's no such thing in a relationship as a winner and loser, period. And so if you're going outside of there and someone says, yep, you're right and they're wrong, you've already done more damage to that relationship than you can even imagine. It's very difficult as an outside person to have someone tell you about their relationship and to hold that space that is respectful for both people in the relationship. Because I guarantee you, we can actually put this in writing, this guarantee that every relationship's a 50-50. Every relationship, both people are equally contributing to the condition of that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Even if someone has made a huge mistake or done something really terrible in the relationship, the condition of the relationship that allows for that to happen is a 50-50.
Yep.
And sometimes it's even a passive role on someone's part.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always there. And that's what you want to look at is, what is it about me that is contributing to this relationship in a way that my partner feels that disconnected, that they're doing something.
Even that fight that you guys are having, maybe still having, each of you have contributed equally to that fight, right? And so when it's really important for couples to be able to understand what their contribution is.
Yep.
What have I contributed to the condition of the relationship?
Right.
Because that's the only thing that you have power and control over changing is yours. You could point your finger at your partner all you want. Say, you need to change this, you need to change that. Great. Good luck with that, because it's not going to go anywhere, because they're just going to point the finger back at you. Right. And so this takes two people working together, taking responsibility for what they have power and control over changing, to actually change the direction and the trajectory of the relationship. It's the only way it works.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. And sorry, we got really deep today in this topic of yellow and blue flags, but I think it's really important because a lot of people aren't
wearing yellow and you're wearing blue.
Am I? Oh, you know what?
We didn't even know that.
I forgot to do the blue flags.
Oh, there's our blue flag.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
So, we thought it was really important to be able to, give people kind of a benchmark to really look at and be able to take a look at their relationship from that perspective. Is like, are we engaging in some of these behaviors? And if we are, then, we can change it. We can change the direction that we're going in here. Right.
And, we hear people say that we can go for months without talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're in a relationship like that, where you are,
do that.
There was a funny comment that came out of the weekend, and it was, how can I appropriately say it? The best way to eat a sandwich is as soon as possible. And that's true if you're holding back in your relationship. You just got to vomit it out. You just got to put it out on the table. It's going to be messy. It's going to get ugly. You might even sleep in separate beds at night.
Yeah.
But it's worth that battle. It's worth the battle because you can't tend to something that you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're buttoning it up and you're white knuckling it, that's going to blow up in your face one day. I promise you. I guarantee it. And the sooner you clear up the stuff that you're aware of, the better you both feel and the stronger your relationship will be.
Here's a guarantee. Guarantee is, 1, you're going to hurt your partner, right? 2, conflict is inevitable in every relationship. So if there's anything you can count on, it's those two things, right? Now, how you resolve it, that is up to you, right? And most couples don't resolve it. Most couples sweep it under the carpet. They just try to freeze things out, and then someone breaks the ice, and then you start the cycle all over again. Well, the goal here is really to understand your partner, is to understand their position, even if it's a differing opinion. That gives us another level of trust and understanding. And, now your partner has your back, even though they might disagree with you on something. Conflict is going to happen, right? And conflict is supposed to happen. It's supposed to teach us something. And so we can't shy away from it. In fact, it will actually cause a bigger conflict the more we try to avoid it. And hurting your partner, well, you can't learn to dance without stepping on each other's toes, right?
And what I would add in what you were saying about resolving it, how you resolve a problem, an issue, is you only have a chance to resolve it if you say it, right? If you bring it to light, because otherwise,
if you
no
don't,
chance.
Right. If you don't, you've already decided before there's even an opportunity to work on it.
Right. Absolutely.
So is this a good time to do some meditation?
Sure. There is a comment that I think we'll share so you guys can read it live, and then meditation. How about that?
Okay.
Sure. Let's hear what you got. Poll shows women initiate 84% of that. I'd like to that sink in. It's very interesting, that poll, because first of all, number one, polls are designed to be skewed, right? So a lot of studies out there, and there's one thing I learned in my doctorate studies is that, you can manipulate data to support your belief and support what your hypothesis is. But there's a very interesting concept here, is that women divorce for different reasons than men do, right? And specifically also men cheat for different reasons than women do. And typically women cheat in a relationship because they are emotionally done. They are completely done with the relationship, and that is their reason to leave the relationship, right? And for men, typically they cheat because they are wanting some other needs met, and their needs are not being met in their relationship.
But the female brain is designed to anticipate problems more often, and women are much more aware of problems in a relationship before a man is. And we see the same thing, that the majority of couples that come in for help is being initiated by the woman. And so if I would say that this poll is probably pretty accurate, that there is a big percentage of women who are like, there's a problem. And it's kind of around the time when they're like, I'm done, that they're either going to divorce or they're going in for help.
Well, because women are able to actually identify that there's a problem faster than men are. Right. The brain is designed to actually take a look at the environment and the relationship, from multiple aspects.
Right.
Before men are. Men are actually much more compartmentalized in their brain, and so they are going to look for status quo quicker than women are. Right. They're going to be like, there's nothing wrong, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's why I would also say, to the women out there, trust yourself. And, this is a really important thing that happens, is that men believe what women say. No. Men believe what women do, but not what they say.
Right.
And women believe what men say, but not what they do. And so a lot of times if a woman is complaining about issues in the relationship, a guy's like, yeah, but you're still doing my laundry and taking care of business and whatever things are going on, until she's like, hey, I'm done. And he's like, what's the problem? And she's like, I've been telling you for years. And he goes, yeah, but I just thought you were a nag because you've been doing it, And so if you really want to get his attention, you have to do a behavior that speaks to the level of pain you're in. and trust what he's doing and not just the words that he's saying.
Right. All right. Time for meditation.
Yeah.
Is that cool? All right.
All right. So get into a comfortable position and focus on your breath. And be aware of the breath coming in through your left nostril and the breath coming in through your right nostril. And notice if one is stronger than the other, or if they're balanced. And I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of your partner. And if you're not in a relationship, just imagine you're standing in front of a person you trust. And your toes are touching. And you hold hands. And you both lean back until you form a triangle. And pay attention to if the person you're holding hands with is bigger than you or smaller than you. And it really doesn't matter. What matters is that balance point in between. And the balance point that creates resistance so that both of you are supported and vulnerable. And feel that vulnerability by imagining if they let go of your hands, what would happen? And know this as the dance of relationship. That it is as frightening as it is connecting. That allowing yourself to trust and be vulnerable is the same balancing point. And you can bend your arms and try to control this position and not allow yourself to be vulnerable. But feel the joy and freedom of leaning all the way back. And depending on another person, if even just for a moment, knowing that you're not alone in the world. And there's a beauty in that, as well as a challenge. And take a moment to feel the respect that if you're careless in this moment with your partner, how much that would hurt them. And know that your vulnerability and your trust are equal to theirs. And just the two of you can feel that right now as you imagine this. Of how good it feels to let go and lean all the way back. And how scary it feels to imagine the other person letting go. And when you're ready, both of you pull up until you're both vertical. And allow your hearts to touch. And allow your heart to entrain to their heart. And your breath to be in sync with their breath. And how wonderful it feels to not be so alone in this world. Knowing that you'll separate again to come back again another time. Just feel the connectedness of this moment. And bring your awareness back to your breath. And if you are in the room with your partner, when you open your eyes, look into their eyes. And if you're in the room alone, find time very soon to look into the mirror and at least trust and find that vulnerability within yourself, as all right relationships begin with the self. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Couple Synergy Live.
Have a great week.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.